Shout out K-Dog for the smooth tunes, man. Love that. Love that. All right, you can cut it out now. All right, folks, we here. I mean, I would have like a nice little fade out, but it was good. It was all right. It fed the energy, and now we starting. So, what's up, folks? Back off another fucking fantastic MSG card, UFC 281. Oh, your boy's hurting today a little bit. Don't get me wrong, but hey, we must prevail. We must move on. I think I'm gonna take a little hiatus from drinking, and you know what? Like, it's fun and all for at the events and whatever, but I almost prefer to be like sober for it because I take it in more. You know, I rewatched all the fights this morning, which is always fun to do as well. But yeah, I mean, either way, that's not important. His or her, whatever. Oh yeah, speaking of, I said last podcast that this was the His or Hers podcast, His and Hers MMA podcast 2.0, but no, it's not. But it's now called Caution to the Airwaves. Obviously, play on words to throwing caution to the wind, which is a term that fighters use to describe someone throwing vicious punches at their opponent, hence throwing caution to the wind. Yeah, so caution to the airwaves, baby. We out here. But yeah, so like I said, coming off a fucking fantastic MSG card. Shit, one for the books, baby. One for the books. Man, I don't even know where to start on this one. I mean, obviously I know where to start on this one, but it's like feels just like crazy to just jump into it. Yeah, so I mean, you know, maybe I'll post a picture, but like I had the projector going out back. It was cool. The vibes were nice. That, you know, but then the wind picked up and it was getting a little chilly out there. And me and my boy decided to pack it up and head to Buffalo Wild Wings, which was my first time going to one of those places for a UFC event, which was interesting. It was cool. There was a crowd effect there. I mean, and they were reacting to the punches, reacting to submission attempts. I mean, like, it was cool to see. And honestly, I didn't realize there were so many damn MMA fans out here. And locally, and I mean, the place was packed. It was jumping. But I wish they had the volume up a little louder. I could barely hear the commentary, which is like one of my favorite parts about, you know, watching this shit. But especially for pay-per-view with Joe Rogan, DC, and John Anik. But you know, you gotta do what you can do with it. I mean, it is what it is. But shit, man, fucking hey, yo. I mean, do we just jump into it? We just gotta get into it. Fucking Israel Adesanya obviously took on Alex Pereira, or Pereira, whatever you want to say it, in the main event of this card. And man, this main event did not disappoint at all. Fuck, bro. Yeah, man. Shit. Exactly kind of what we all thought it was going to be. A very, very high-level technical stand-up fight. Just basically a kickboxing match with a little MMA sprinkled in it. Thanks to Izzy with the grappling, but and Pereira. What am I saying? Pereira. Let me just start from the beginning. So, I mean, this fight kicks off. The energies that this was probably one of the most the most tense fight I've ever watched, in a sense of where every second of the fight, I was like on the edge of my seat. I felt like both dudes were in danger. I mean, more Izzy than Pereira. And man, that's the only way I can explain it. It was a tense fight, and Pereira was just stalking Izzy the whole time. Izzy was using very good movement, sticking the jab, moving in and out well in the beginning, obviously, and throughout the whole fight. And then at the end of the first round, man, Izzy landed this fucking beautiful 1-2 that just rocked Pereira silly, put him on skates, like gave him the wobble legs, and then caught him with a left that just, like, I mean, and then the round ends right there, and Pereira's standing there wobbly, like, and it looks like if there was like 1 or 2 more seconds there, I mean, Izzy would have easily finished him. I mean, Pereira was out on his feet. His hands were down, and he was standing there just right in front of him. But then the round, Goddard kind of like saved him at the end. Like, Izzy was going to throw another one. I mean, he could have easily been KO'd there. But no, Izzy like went back to the corner. Pereira went back to the corner. And man, this guy, another thing to note about Pereira in this was, he can recover, man. This guy can recover. Like, he is in phenomenal shape. the commentary was talking about how like he cut so much weight, and it did seem at one point like he was getting tired, but no. That's not the truth. I mean, this guy, shout out to Izzy too, because neither of them were getting tired in this fight. A little bit more Izzy towards the end, if anything. But Pereira came off almost getting knocked out in the first round, and then comes back and is just like, it looks just as good as he did in the first round, like totally recovered. And what does he do? He comes back and wins the second round. And how did he do that? I mean, he just stalked Izzy. He put the pressure on him. He landed well in the second round. He even landed a takedown, like I said, in the second round, which was surprising to see. I think that was at the end of the second round, giving Pereira the second round, which was, at that point made it tied 1-1 going into the third. And then it was starting to look like Izzy was in trouble. It was starting to look like it was about to be a long night for Izzy. But no, just like the champ he is, like the champ we all know he is. I mean, this guy stepped up to the plate and said, "All right, gave that one up. I'm coming back, and I'm in this. I gotta get it back." And he did. Came back in the third, looked amazing. I mean, was just fighting so well. I mean, I gotta say, Israel Adesanya. I mean, once again, I love fights like this because it kind of shows people's true color. Just like Israel's first fight with Kelvin Gastelum, not first fight, but his fight with Kelvin Gastelum. That was like one of those moments where we got to see like what Israel's really made of, and it was this was another one of those where another guy just really pushing him to his limits and testing him, and we got to see that Israel is no joke. This guy is mentally tough. He's mentally strong, and And yeah, like I said, he goes into the third, and what does he do? He wins it back. I think he even landed a takedown in the third, and used a little bit of his grappling and had good top control, and pushes it to the fourth. What does he do in the fourth? A lot of the same as far as the moving well, staying out of danger when he needed to. I mean, getting touched here and there, but doing more of the touching, and which is why he won the third and fourth round. But man. Then we go, and then in between rounds, what do we have? We have the corner of Alex Pereira in his ear, like yelling at him. Glover Teixeira and their crew just in his ear yelling at him, saying, "You need to finish this fight. You need a knockout. You need to finish this." And that's it. There's nothing else to say. You need to finish. And man, this guy comes out and just a little more pep in his step. Fifth round. This man is in the fifth round, almost gets knocked out in the first, losing the third and fourth, and just is still just there. Like all of him is there. Like his power is there. His speed is there. It's just insane. And I got to say, Izzy actually looked a little tired in the fifth compared to the other rounds. But there was that moment where Izzy, he had one of his leg kicks was checked really badly, and he kind of had to roll out of it, and it looked like he hurt something there for sure. And I don't know if that's what it was that hindered his movement. After that a little bit more, he said he suffered a little injury to the leg, which took away his movement, and eventually Pereira capitalized on that and just landed a beautiful shovel like uppercut, and then and then just a combination that just like knocked Izzy silly, put him on skates, had him in danger, and man, it was such a moment. It was such a moment. Just another one of these moments where the champ going in, like similar to Kamaru, going into the fifth round, 3-1, up 3-1, and all you got to do is coast to the end, or just stay safe and be like not aggressive, but like be aggressive enough in a smart way where you keep him off of you. Would maybe pump the jab as much as possible. Who knows? I mean, there's so much he needed to do, but he eventually just that leg kick checked him, and I think it took his movement away, and ended up eventually causing him to get caught by a fucking devastating combo that put him on skates and had him against the fence, and he was kind of out on his feet as well. Even though I just watched it this morning, and the moment that they stopped the fight, Mark Goddard stepped in and stopped the fight. It did seem like in that moment that he stopped it, that Izzy was starting to just move, as he needed. Obviously, he was still like half there, if that, but I'm not going to say it was a bad stoppage. It was a great stoppage. It could have gotten worse, but I just thought that moment that he stopped, it was a weird moment because Izzy, it was like the moment he actually looked like he was almost coming back to life a little bit. But either way, I mean, Alex is dangerous, and you can't fucking let a guy like that tee off on someone who's even half there or maybe even 75% there. If you're compromised in front of Alex Pereira, he's going to fucking see that and capitalize on that. So and that's exactly what this man did. And then we have a new champion, Alex Pereira, Poatan, and shout out the whole crew. Glover Teixeira, their gym is out of Danbury, Connecticut, right up the street from us, basically, less than an hour. And it's just cool. That's cool, man. I mean, maybe we have another parade there. I know they did a parade for Glover Teixeira when he won. But we'll see. But shit, man. I mean, if they have the parade, I might have to go over. I might have to go and see what that's about because this guy is special, man. This guy is a force to be reckoned with. Yeah, man. I mean, I can't say enough good things about this fight. It was just so impressive from both sides, like seeing Izzy get tested and stepping up to the plate and doing well with that pressure and still looking confident. But it was just like, that fifth round that just, didn't go his way. And unfortunately, that's the fight game. It happens that way. I mean, one tiny mistake could be the downfall, and that's end up what happening. But another thing I want to say about this was how, and this is something I want. This is a point I really want to make because I think it's something fighters need to be doing more. And I understand that sometimes maybe in the heat of the moment that you obviously like it all happens so fast that you can't like make this conscious decision all the time. But man, I was saying after the fight, and I've been saying this after a lot of fights because I think it could save so many other fighters, allow them to recover, and I've been saying this, when in doubt, Charles Oliveira it out, aka the ones, you know what I'm about to say, for the ones, the diehards out there. But Charles Oliveira, every time this guy, when he went on his title reign and was just beating the who's who, the killers of the lightweight division, every one of those fights he got rocked and almost put out like completely. But what does he do when he felt that moment, when that moment came, when he was rocked, he would go immediately to his back, allow like either obviously he has great jiu-jitsu, so it's threatening, but nonetheless, I mean, if you're hurt that badly on your back, I mean, how much can you really do if someone pressures you? But nonetheless, I mean, it's even if it's your last resort, like if you get rocked, like I would like to see more fighters, especially like in this moment, like if you're Izzy and you get rocked, like kind of just allow yourself to go down and go to your back and throw your legs up and be ready to come into be ready to allow like a guard situation, open the guard and use that time to, at the very least, keep the fight alive and recover if you need. I mean, obviously, it could go south from that position too, but nonetheless, it's something. It's something more than trying to fight to stay on your feet with someone that's that dangerous in front of you. I just would like to see fighters more use the Charles Oliveira technique of getting hurt and going to their back and allowing themselves to recover. I think fights can go longer that way. I think it could give someone a better chance to recover, and who knows, maybe like in that situation, if Izzy does go down, who knows? Does it become a 10-8? Does it become, I guess, would that be a draw after if it was a 10-8 round? I mean, it's better than a not TKO loss, but either way, I mean, who knows? If he goes to his back, maybe he's able to fight him off long enough to recover and make it to the end of the fight and get a decision. Maybe it's a draw. Maybe he gets a win, or and then you get to live the fight another day. You don't have an L, and you get to do the rematch, on your terms, but as the champion too. So, yeah, that was one thing I wanted to point out. I think I saw something that I think Drake put $2 million on Israel in this fight. I mean, God bless him. Fucking sucks. I'm sure that's not like crazy. I mean, that's gonna hurt and that's gonna get your juices right. That's why he bet that much, because that's what it takes to get that man's like, adrenaline going for this fight. And tough L. So I mean, shit, I can't complain either. My picks were not that well. I mean, let's throw up right. Mark this time. I'm gonna throw up my picks. I'll explain my picks too, but I mean each one. Obviously, I picked Izzy in this fight because I would never want to underestimate his ability to and his fight IQ to do what he needs to do and download, as he likes to say, and just use the information he has to come up with a great game plan that's going to get them the dub, whether it's boring or not. And he's done it in the past with multiple fighters that are dangerous, Yoel Romero, Jared Cannonier. He usually does what he has to do to get that W because he's that good. And I feel like he did that in this fight, and it almost happened. So I'm not upset about my pick with Izzy. I did feel like Alex Pereira was coming into this fight extremely confident. Did not falter once. Came out with the crazy garb. Maybe I'll throw another picture on this one. Coming out with the crazy Brazilian tradition. I don't know what it was, but it just looked like some fucking warrior shit. And I mean, and it was sick. But yeah, fucking hell, man. What a fucking fight, man. What a fight. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else like to really say about it. Oh, I mean, yeah. Another thing. So I was talking about this with my boy Manny. Shout out Manny. But he actually brought up this point, I believe. But like, yeah, I mean, this dude, as scary as he is, there is dudes in the middleweight division that are bad matchups for him, and one that comes right off the mind, and is Robert Whittaker. Robert Whittaker seems like a really bad matchup for Pereira because Robert Whittaker has good enough wrestling and he's strong enough to definitely get Pereira to the ground if he needed. He has the karate stance, which is good for distant management. I don't know if it's really good for absorbing some leg kicks from Pereira. That could be a problem, but nonetheless, I think Whittaker is well versed in the grapple game and strong enough to get Pereira to the ground and probably do some good damage on the ground too. But nonetheless, I mean, the more this guy gets to fight, the better he's going to get because he's training with Glover Teixeira, which is top-notch grappler slash jiu-jitsu practitioner, and the more time that this guy gets to train with Glover, especially if he's going into a fight like that where he knows people are going to game plan for that, I think he's a good enough fighter. He has a fucking frame for it, and I think he could learn some techniques to get him through some grapple heavy situations. I could see that, but nonetheless though, Whittaker's been doing this forever, and I just see Whittaker would be I think a bad matchup for him. I mean, I think it would be a closer odds than it was in this fight. Pereira was a pretty big underdog. I thought this fight should have been close to even. But it wasn't. It was like Israel was like I think minus 230 by the end of it. So, fuck. I mean, that's a big favorite for going against someone that you lost to twice. I mean, in kickboxing nonetheless. But either way, I mean, this guy's bigger. You beat him once decision, beat him once by knockout, and now a third time in MMA. But yeah, I don't know what the odds makers were thinking on that. I think that was kind of crazy. I was like, my pick was Izzy, but I was like, it's so hard not to throw a little something on Alex just for how disrespectful that they were being with that. But yeah, so that's gonna be interesting, man. Middleweight. I mean, they're talking rematch. I think it's justified. I think Israel was winning that fight. I think a rematch. Who wouldn't want to see a rematch? It was such a good fight. It was an amazing fight. The whole fucking card was good, which we're about to get to now, moving on. But yeah, just man, fuck man. Izzy took it well, like the champ he is. He took it well. He was humble in defeat. He said he was like I think he tried to downplay the belt a little bit, saying, "Oh, the accolades, it's not about." But he did fix himself and say that no, it is important, the belt. But nonetheless, he was just kind of I get what he was saying because his mentality is, this is the fight game. You win, you lose. Granted, like all this is what makes MMA compared to other sports so interesting is that all these other sports they play to win. And if you're a good player on a team or a good athlete, let's say any sport, but in fighting it's different, man, because you get in other sports you get a chance to come back and constantly try to tweak and get better and face that team again, that team that has your number, and try to get that win, and over years you could try to develop yourself to get better. But in fighting, I mean, between the damage you take and just not just that, but like what comes from a loss in this, so And the mental game of this, like there's just more at stake in your loss. Like a loss in fighting could totally change the trajectory of your career in one loss. So it can make or break you, but you can look at it both ways, because a loss could make you better, or a loss could really break you. I mean, and you know what, just saying that off top, but like I can't help but it just popped into my head, was the Dominic Reyes moment earlier on this card in the prelims against Ryan Spann, because this is a guy who, ever since he took his they were saying like ever since he took his L to John Jones, he just hasn't seemed the same. But I think it was more these knockout losses he suffered from, like, to Jan Blachowicz. I mean, getting knocked out by Jan is going to change you, and then comes back and gets knocked out by Jiří Procházka, and now gets knocked out by Ryan Spann. I'm jumping ahead to this fight, but I'm just thinking about how this guy fought John Jones, the GOAT, most people regard as the GOAT, and arguably beat him in a technical fight. But, obviously, John Jones did come in those late rounds and do what he had to do to get the win, and, ultimately got that win. But Dominic Reyes fought John Jones better than anybody fought John Jones, and better than DC, better than anyone. And he was hyped off that. I think he got a little maybe too confident. Maybe that's the reason, but nonetheless, I mean, the knockouts this man has suffered, and now another one. I hate to see it, because I was low-key rooting for... I had my money on Ryan Spann because of this reason, because Dominic's chin was questionable. He's been knocked out by like the last like 3 opponents, and I just thought, like, oh well, here's another guy that's humongous with tremendous power and is known for like touching people and going to bed. So I mean, when you have that factor, it's like, how do you not think that Dominic Reyes just has to get touched once to go to bed? I mean, that's how I saw it. But I was rooting for him. I wanted to see him back. I wanted to see a competitive fight. I think a lot of people are sad off that. I mean, now I'm jumping all over, because speaking of sad, I mean, you know what I was about to say, people, but we'll get to that. Let's move on to the co-main event, though, with Zhang Weili and Carla Esparza. This one just felt good all around. If you know me, you know I'm a huge Weili fan. Love Weili. I mean, honestly, I've really been following this girl since she's basically been in the UFC. When you're a big fan, right, and you watch, especially early on, I mean, there was a point where I was just crazy with it. Like, I was, telling friends no to like any sort of event, just on some like, nope, sorry, UFC is on, prelims start at 3:00 today. I'm gonna be in front of my TV from 3:00 to 9:00, and I'm still like that. I mean, but I will nowadays, I try to change my ways and be a little more open. I could always come back and watch a prelim fight. It's not that big a deal to miss a prelim here or there. But man, you know what? I say that, but I'm like ready to get back into that, like sitting in front of the TV, because man, I mean, there's just so many fights. There's so many good fights, and like if you miss the first fight might be the best fight, especially in the UFC. I mean, look at this card: Carlos Ulberg, another city kickboxing member, starting off the card, and just has a beautiful combination knockout. I mean, he hit him with like a straight left to a left hook with the same hand in like the same second, and it was just a thing of beauty. And it was like I still can't get over it. Like it was such a sick knockout, and it was so fast, and with one hand, like just a quick like 1, 2, and just put him out. And it was like exactly, and that was the first fight of this card. Granted, this is MSG UFC 281. MSG, Madison Square Garden, New York City, once a year. Like it's obviously a special card, but that shit be like that on every other like card. I mean the ones that know, it's just, you can't, like, any given fight on the UFC is like fucking high level, and the next up and comer could just be, and that's what the point I'm getting at is that Weili, I saw this girl on the rise, just like fighting a lesser talent before she was ranked, and just like absolutely just destroying people. I mean, people were coming up to me last night, like, like, oh, like, I'm thinking, like, people try to put bets in or whatever, like, oh wait, I got Wei Li by knockout, right? Wei Li by knockout, that's probably the way to go. And I'm like, well, you can't count out submission. I mean, the girl is Carla's a grappler, she's probably going to want to wrestle. Wei Li is a grappler, and has many submission wins, and like, for people to like forget that Wei Li is an elite level grappler. I mean, granted, like, she the way she fought Rose, I think she was trying to like get into a technical striking because of how good she is coming off the Ioana fights. You want to prove yourself, you just want to test your like skills against another high level striker. I get that, but I mean, well, y'all must have forgot about fucking Wei Li's grappling, because she is a beast, and she ran through Carla Esparza in this fight. Made it look easy. It feels like all things are right in that division again. It's so good to see Wei Li as a champion. How can you not love her? I mean, like, she's just such a great person. She's a fucking beautiful soul, and she is so like just driven, and you see her posting her workouts. She has such a good energy about her, and she is like also just at the same time such a hard worker, and you see it in like her workout videos she be posting, and she's just awesome. She's all around such a great person, and it feels so good that she got this win and is a champion again, because I mean, who's the more exciting, female fighter than Wei Li? I mean, other than like, the elites, but and it's just crazy, man. Like, it feels good. It feels good to have Wei Li back as a champion again. Is that the dog at the door? No? Oh, they're downstairs. Hey! All right, just forget it. I don't know. My fucking Bronson's barking and shit. We'll see if he can make another cameo today. Yeah, so I mean, fucking shout out Wei Li. I mean, there's nothing really much more to say about it other than, I mean, congrats to China. You guys have another chant. You guys have have your chant back. And she's a great one. And Wei Li, I mean, that's a great champion to represent you right there. So I just love Wei Li. I just have like so much admiration for her. I just think she's like one of my favorite people. Like, if you just see her, she's like, she's like, in the lead up to this fight, she's like, sees the heavyweight champion Francis Ngannou. This guy's humongous, from Cameroon, gigantic of a, titan of a man. And like Wei Li's just like, her first reaction, she's like, oh, hello to Francis, and then she's like, asked if she could pick him up, and then he's like, oh, okay, and she just lifts him up, and she's like, ha, cool. It was a funny little moment, but yeah, I mean, God bless her. Love Wei Li. Love Wei Li. Can't wait to see her fight again. I mean, now, so is going off that, piggybacking off this, I have to say, 30? We're at 30 already? God damn. I'm only on the co-main event. We got to move along here. We got so much to get to. So coming off this now, I mean, I had to talk about the Izzy Pereira, like that. It was such an important fight in the sport of mixed martial arts. The whole like history of that, you have to touch on that. It's crazy, but so off this Wei Li win, would like to see personally. I would like to see Rose Namajunas take on Amanda Lemos, who's coming off a big win against Marina Rodriguez. And I would like to see Rose take on Amanda Lemos for a title contender fight, to see who fights Wei Li next. I think that would be cool. I think, it gives a chance to get a new challenge in there that's not Rose. I mean, could you imagine that Rose versus Lemos? I mean, and Wei Li is just getting better, so I mean, I would love to see I would love to see Wei Li Rose fight once a year. Like, it's like a Wilder Fury situation. Like, you're not gonna get any hesitation from me wanting to see that. I mean, some people you just want to see fight over and over. Kobe Kamaru, I mean, Izzy Pereira. I would love to see these people fight on a regular basis. Like, please, but yeah, so I think that should happen. Amanda Lemos versus Thug Rose. I mean, for the title contention, that would be sick. Moving on, we got the co-main, the fight of the night winner in Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. Man, fight of the night for a reason. Amazing fight. Michael Chandler comes out strong. aggressive, obviously. But Dustin, man, watching it over again today too. Dustin is just so good at staying safe in the pocket. He's really a good boxer. Has great just high guard, hands up near the chin, just kind of it looks like things are hitting him hard, but really he's taking it on the glove. He really knows how to keep himself safe and such a beautiful boxing guard. But Chandler did slip in a few heavy shots that did have Poirier in trouble. Up until the end of Chandler was kind of winning the first round until the very end of the first round where I'm drawing a blank now on exactly what it was. I wish Mikey was here to remind me. Did he leave, by the way? Well, whatever. But sucks. Yeah, but what was it? He landed something significant that really hurt Chandler. Just fucking rocked Chandler's shit. Broke his nose, I believe. Oh yeah, definitely broke his nose. I mean, the way that shit was bleeding. But just totally turned the fight. Just totally put a stamp on that round and took that round. The way he ended that first round. It was such a fucking such a high speed what am I saying? It was such a fast-paced first round, and it was people were saying, it could be round of the year. Those talks were going around, and it was an amazing first round. And then Chandler, though, comes back in the set. Oh, well, Chandler was basically about to get TKO'd once again, saved by the first round bell, goes back, gets a little breath, comes back, and he does the right thing, and he uses his wrestling in this round, and he gets Dustin to the ground, and he controls him the whole second round, and takes the second round back after almost getting knocked out in the first. And then we go into the third round, and fucking Poirier just put it on Chandler, just outstruck him, got him to the ground, and then instilled his grappling on Chandler. And Chandler was just done at this point. He was just beat up, man. He was beat up bad. And Poirier eventually just got that neck and got that rear naked choke. Which, by the way, Poirier almost got rear naked choked in the second round as well. But obviously it was, able to fight that off, make it to the third, and then got his own rear naked choke in the third to put a stamp on that fight. What a great win for Dustin Poirier. It looked like vintage Dustin in there. It looked like the best Dustin in there. He looked amazing. I mean, Dustin Poirier is back, baby. And what I like is in the press conference, someone brought up if he'd be willing to take on Beneil Dariush, and he actually was like, yeah, he said the right things. He said Beneil he has earned his stripes. He's put in the work, and he deserves that fight. He deserves his time, and he's willing to give him that fight. Hopefully, I would love to see that for possibly so then they would fight. Which fight news. They made the Islam Makhachev versus Volkanovski for the lightweight fight. Volkanovski's going to be coming up from featherweight to take on Islam Makhachev at lightweight. And I would like to see Dustin Poirier fight Beneil Dariush for the next up for that belt. Winner off that. That would be good to see. That would make sense. That would be amazing. I would love to see that. But yeah, just moving right along here. I hate to even. I mean, what else is there to say about it? I mean, Dustin Poirier looked amazing, and it was fucking sick. And I had Chandler to win just because of that factor of him just being able to come out and blitz Poirier and maybe use his wrestling, which he did. It was good to see. I thought his wrestling could have been the difference maker. This was a hard one to pick. There was a lot of all the fights were very well made and matched up very well. So, but shout out Dustin Poirier. That was a lot of fun. Fight of the night for a reason, like I said. But moving on to on a sadder note here. So we had the fucking legend, Frankie Edgar, making his final, as John Anik said, his final jog to the octagon. You usually say walk, but he doesn't walk to the octagon. He jogs every time. Made his final jog. Took on Chris Gutierrez, an up-and-coming guy, solid fighter as well. I mean, some of the best leg kicks in the game from that guy. And man, just, and once again, Frankie Edgar, just kind of was fighting the who's who of featherweight, and it just got too crazy at featherweight for Frankie. I think he was outsized. I think he was, not outskilled, but outsized in featherweight for sure, and he was forced to kind of take a new career path into bantamweight and give that a shot. And and it doesn't look good on him. He looks small down there. He looks extra small down there. He looks more fragile down there. And there's some killers in bantamweight right now too. And Gutierrez obviously is one of them. Chris Gutierrez landed a brutal fucking like flying knee basically in the first round to KO Frankie, unfortunately. And I say unfortunately because you don't want to see a legend like Frankie Edgar go out like that. I mean, just flat on his back. It was sad. I don't even like talking about this. It really is like depressing because after the fight, he's like hugging his whole family. I was gonna post a picture of that too, but I don't even think I want to. But it's just him like hugging his family. Everyone pretty much crying. I mean, it was like fucking sad. You don't want to see a legend like Frankie Edgar go out like that. But that shouldn't take away from Frankie's legacy and just the amazing man he is, the amazing fighter he is. I mean, who's cooler than Frankie Edgar fighting out of Toms River, New Jersey? He's just a legend of the sport. I mean, he's a former champion. He has nothing to be sad about these days. I mean, he's been there, done that. He's fought the who's who. He's literally fought everybody. Anyone that's worth mentioning in those divisions, mainly the featherweight, especially. He has fought the who's who of that division, and he has nothing to be sad about. He's a former champion. He's literally had some of the like most like memorable wins of the featherweight division. I mean, fuck, shout out Frankie Edgar, man. I mean, I hate to see him go, but you kind of have to now. I mean, it's reached that time for him, and God bless Frankie Edgar. I'm sure we'll see him at some fights here and there, maybe more the local New York ones / New Jersey, tri-state area. But, yeah, man, happy trails to Frankie Edgar. Want nothing for the best for that man. He deserves everything he wants in his life. Moving on, we got the first fight of the card was Dan Hooker took on Claudio Puelles. Now, this was an interesting one. Claudio, another young up-and-comer, high-level grappler, has multiple knee bar submissions. I think probably the most knee bars by any one fighter in the whole UFC. Just loves some knee bars, and he went for let's just say he wanted that knee bar in this fight because he starts off the fight and Dan Hooker's kind of feeling him out. Dan Hooker, obviously a legend out of City Kickboxing as well. Dan Hooker feeling him out. Claudio goes for a Umanari roll, fucking rolls to his back to grab his leg, gets a hold of his leg. It's like, oh shit, going right for the leg again. Gets him in a bad position where it looks like, oh fuck, he's about to lock in this knee bar. Holy shit, here's another knee bar win. But he didn't have it. He wasn't deep enough on it. I guess Dan defended it well. At one point, he was just sitting there. It looked like it was bad, but he was just sitting there kind of looking at him like, you're doing nothing, bro. And eventually, they got back to his feet. And then the whole rest of the fight was basically Claudio just trying to get his trying to take him down to submit him. But just having no luck with that after that first attempt, just missing all his takedown attempts, all his Umanari rolls, and there was multiple Umanari rolls, which the first one's fun to see, especially when you get it. An Umanari roll is super cool, but and then when someone's just Tony Ferguson has done this in the past, when you're just rolling around on the ground trying to get a leg and you're missing 95% of them, it becomes like, all right, bro, stop it. Just fight. It's mixed martial arts. Use your striking. Do something, switch it up. But he didn't do that. And obviously he has a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do, Claudio. Dan Hooker just did what Dan Hooker was supposed to do, which is get in there, stay safe from that Umanari roll, and just outstrike him, which was, kind of obviously the path to victory for him. The bigger guy, the better striker, and he just the more experienced guy by far, has fought the who's who as well in Dan Hooker, and Dan Hooker just did what Dan Hooker does and just outclassed someone that did not belong to be in there with him. So shout out Dan Hooker, the Hangman, great win for my guy. And then at the headline in the prelims on this was a fun one with Renato Moicano taking on Brad Riddell. Another one, my pick was wrong. I took Brad Riddell in this one, mainly because he was a little bit of an underdog. I understand Hanato Moicano was coming into this one, has looked very impressive in his last few fights, coming in amazing shape to most of them, other than when he took a short notice fight. He had a fight. Can't remember off the top of my head. Can you Google Hanato Moicano real quick? I'm trying to remember. He took on someone and he had an amazing win. Go down. Go down. Down. Right there. Okay, yeah. So he came off an amazing win against Alexander Hernandez. And round 2 submission win. Just looked impressive the whole time. Just outclassed him like completely. And that's like kind of what Hanato was looking like leading up into this. And then, but he took a short notice fight against RDA, Rafael Dos Anjos. And this was like a week after his fight with Alexander Hernandez. He took it on 4-day notice. Yeah, I mean, he said it in his post-fight interview, which we just watched downstairs, when he was like, I was drinking beer and eating steaks. Took it on 4 days notice. And it was against Rafael Dos Anjos, who was another former champ and like just a beast of the sport. I mean, everyone like knows that RDA and how much of a real deal that guy is. So you can't walk into a fight at a catchweight coming off a fight you just had a week ago and on 4 days notice step in there, with Rafael Dos Anjos and think you're gonna fucking win that. That's just not gonna happen. So, but came off that, step into this one with Brad Riddell, kind of looked right back to his ways, looked in great shape, just outclassed Brad Riddell everywhere pretty much, even in the striking. I mean, cut him up pretty bad, and then eventually got him down and choked him. And then just had such an epic rant after, just cursing, like going ham with Joe Rogan, just on the mic forever. At Buffalo Wild Wings, they were bleeping the hell out of it, but we just rewatched it downstairs this morning, and they played everything he said, and it was hilarious. It was great to see. It was an awesome interview. Hanato is the man. He's a funny dude. Joe Rogan should have him on for that interview, because I would love to hear this guy talk with Joe Rogan. He's like, Joe, you're the smartest man ever. I love you. I listen to your podcast every day. He needs Hanato Moicano on that damn podcast ASAP. And some honorable mentions on the prelims was obviously, sadly again, Molly McCann. Not really sadly, because Molly McCann was kind of taking on a little more than she could handle with Erin Blanchfield. Erin Blanchfield just proved to be the prospect / dark horse she is of that division, and just worked Molly. It was really bad. I saw the Barstool folks were there. Obviously, I think they have Molly is signed with them. They were obviously really rooting for Molly. They seemed to be really upset with that loss. And there were so many celebrities at this one. Fucking just to name a few. I know Mike Tyson was there, Jared Leto, Sylvester Stallone, Halle Berry, Theo Von. Just so many celebrities were out. Did I say Sylvester Stallone? Yeah, fucking Rocky himself. Jesus, it was like MSG, man. Shit does not disappoint. So fun. But yeah, Molly caught a L. I'm just raffling off top here. I know Julio Arce lost to Montel Jackson early on in the card, but like I said, that Carlos Ulberg to start the card was amazing. That fucking 2-hit combo was beautiful. But yeah, man. Fucking MSG, never disappointing. We had some drama going outside of the Garden. Nate Diaz was in attendance. Nate Diaz, fucking doing what Nate Diaz does, just slapping people. Fucking getting into like little scuffles outside with Dylan Dennis and whoever's with him. And there's a funny video of him just slapping the shit out of someone. I mean, at this point, he's pretty much just assaulting people. He's just assaulting people. But it's the fact that he's slapping them is that it's like, what are you gonna do? You're going to fucking sue this man or call the cops because you're talking shit to Nate Diaz and he's standing there and he slaps you? Listen, newsflash, people. If you don't stand within arm's reach of Nate Diaz and talk any sort of shit, you're going to get slapped. And that's just the bottom line. And so fucking, it's just so funny. Nate Diaz just fucking slapping people. I love it. Nate Diaz just being Nate Diaz, man. I can't wait to see what goes on for what's next for Nate Diaz too. Like I said, I mean, they made what else we got here? Well, pull up the website. I want to see go to events, top left. Okay, so this is the next one. Go view the fight card. So we got Derrick Lewis. What is this next week? Go down. November 19th. Is that next week or 2 weeks? 2 weeks, right? Not this weekend. Next weekend. Yeah. So looks like UFC's off this weekend. That's a shame. It's always sad when there's no UFC on. But you know what? Coming off this card, we can't really complain. I could rewatch this card over and over. Is it what's today? Oh no, it's next week. It is next Saturday. Yeah, it's this Saturday. This upcoming Saturday. Sorry, folks. Derrick Lewis taking on Sergey Spivak. That should be interesting. What's more fun than a Black Beast fight? Oh, look at this. Derrick Lewis is the underdog, obviously, because Spivak is a wrestler, a grappler, and he's probably just going to try to grapple Derrick Lewis. But if I'm being honest, I mean, I'll take Derrick Lewis all day in that shit. Just because. Plus 155, Derrick Lewis, knockout power. Spivak, very good grappler, but I mean, let's be honest. If he does get a hold of him and tires him out enough. But Derrick Lewis is a specialist at just upsetting these, I don't know what you call them, Eastern European, whatever you want to, what is Spivak? I don't even know what that, you would think he was Russian, but that's like, it's like, what's that say? Country? Moldova. That's some Russian country. Moldova. Derrick Lewis specializes in knocking out Russians. He likes to fucking knock out Russians. He said it himself in a post-fight interview one time that Donald Trump called him personally and said before the fight, this is Derrick Lewis's words, he said that Donald Trump called him and he wanted him to knock this Russian motherfucker out. Yeah, I mean, we got another, what is that? Light heavy. Kennedy Njoku taking on Ion Cutelaba. Fun fight. Big fight for Kennedy. Kennedy, obviously, one of the fellow Nigerian fighters that are in the UFC. Many Nigerians right now floating around the UFC. Kennedy being one of them. Keeps getting better and better. This guy came in off the Contender Series and just was like a sloppy, tall, like guy that was just like athletically gifted, but like had like no technique really. But he just keeps getting better and better. His striking looks better and better. His jab is incredible, and he's taking on an aggressive guy in Ion Cutelaba. That's a fun one. Scroll down. What else we got? Oh, Rodolfo Vieira's back, the fucking jiu-jitsu world champ out here, one of the former jiu-jitsu world champions. I mean, as high level as jiu-jitsu gets with that one. Cody Brunage, American Wrestling could be the thing to outweigh it. Cody Brunage, slight underdog, kind of like Vieira in that. Vieira minus 175. Scroll down. Chase Sherman, Waldo Casa, go down. Oh, is that okay. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, this card's not really go down. Yeah. This card's not really that impressive, honestly, if you ask me. There's some names. Jennifer Maya's on here. Vince Morales against Miles John. That's a good one. That's a really good fight. Keep going. Just want to Ricky Turcios. He's always fun. Taking on Kevin. Not Vidad. All right, keep going. Let's see. Is there anything I could give the people on some bets here? Let's talk some bets real quick. Nadia Silva. Okay, Natalia Silva. Sorry. All right, go back up. Slow. All right, so go down real quick. Yeah, start right there. Vince Morales versus Miles John. They don't even have the odds on that. I don't even like that fight anyway. It's kind of like scroll up one more. Keep going. Keep going. There was one I saw before. Keep going. Right there. All right, so this is one that's standing out to me. So this will be one of my big picks for this week. Rodolfo Vieira taking on Cody Brunage. Cody Brunage, tough guy, American, like I said, wrestler. Rodolfo Vieira as high level as jiu-jitsu gets. Former world champ in jiu-jitsu. This sounds like it's going to be a grapple heavy fight. I think Rodolfo Vieira lost that one fight in the UFC to Fluffy Hernandez. I think it kind of humbled him, made him have to probably get his cardio in check. I say that Rodolfo comes back with his cardio in check, is ready for a grapple fight, because I mean that's one place that his cardio is going to take him far, is in the grappling. He only tired out in that fight against Fluffy because of the striking. But I think this is going to be a grapple-heavy fight. I think Rodolfo Vieira is high-level enough on the ground to probably get a submission in this one. I like Rodolfo Vieira by submission. I mean, I would like to look up DraftKings and see what that is. But Rodolfo Vieira, as far as the he's minus 175 in this one. I bet you the odds for him by submission are a little bit better. Probably not that much better, because if they got him winning as a favorite, then that's probably the way that he is going to win. I can't see a decision. I could see more of it. Yeah, like probably still a favorite. Probably still in the minuses for a submission, but I'd probably take it that way. I'd go Rodolfo Vieira by submission. Scroll up. Kennedy Njoku taking on Ion Cutelaba. I like this one too. If I'm being honest with you, me and my brother love Ion Cutelaba. This guy's crazy. I mean, he comes out, paints himself green occasionally for the weigh-ins, fucking yelling in people's face. He's just a crazy motherfucker. But like I said, I just think Kennedy is just getting better and better, and I think I hate to say it, but I think I like Kennedy in this one. They're not even showing the odds on here, but something tells me that something tells me it'd be pretty even. Can you go to DraftKings.com real quick? While you're doing that, go to DraftKings.com and then just find the UFC section. You don't have to sign in or nothing. While I'm doing that, like I said, Derrick Lewis, definitely one of my picks, plus 155. I mean, he specializes in knocking out Eastern European / Russian people. I'm just joking when I say that, folks. It's not, but he's a specialist in knockouts. He has the most knockouts in the UFC. He's Derrick Lewis. He's the Black Beast. He literally is capable of knocking out anybody at any given time. And in this fight, I mean, other than the high-level strikers he's faced, like Ciryl Gans and maybe the Bam Bams, I mean, these are people that are hard to knock out in general, but also hard to strike with. But in a fight like this is usually where Derrick Lewis gets a fucking highlight knockout. So, Derrick Lewis by knockout. That's what I'm going to say. Go up or down. I'm sorry, down. Down. All right, so right there. Kennedy Njoku is minus 170 against Ion Cutelaba. Shit. I still like Kennedy in that, but I'm not going to say it's a pick. My two solid picks I'm saying for this one is Rodolfo Vieira by submission and Derrick Lewis by knockout, or just Derrick Lewis by win, but I'd probably say by knockout. If it goes decision, I think Spivak's probably laying on him, grinding out a fucking grapple win. But Derrick Lewis, if he wins, it's going to be by knockout. I see it going down that way. I mean, those are my picks, baby, right there. Derrick Lewis by knockout, Rodolfo Vieira by submission. So there you have it, folks. I think we could stop there. Man, I had fun with this one. This was a great. It's always fun talking MSG card. Shout out Alex Pereira. Getting cue the music. We'll just can you get, is it too late to get some music in the headphones? I hear it. Nah, it's all right. Well, it's gonna be playing right now. Music will be playing right now. It's playing in my earphones now. Shout out Alex Pereira, the new champion of the middleweight division. Shout out Whaley getting a champion belt back. Shout out Dustin Poirier getting the W, getting back in the win column, looking better than ever. Fucking shout out everybody. Shout out Frankie Edgar. Shout out Dan Hooker. God bless everybody. Till next week. Peace.